Homesteader of the Rockies, and welcome to the Susie Homesteader channel. And it's New Year's Eve, and I know it's a little tricky to jump from cleaning up Christmas to setting up for New Year's Eve, which has always been a tricky one for me. But if you get all your stuff together and you keep it in a bunch of boxes and you're ready to put it all back out again, you should be good to go for New Year's Eve. This particular setup that I did for my theme for New Year's Eve, it was all about the sparkles, the golds, the silvers, the black, the white. You know, I just wanted it to be somewhat of an elegant New Year's Eve dinner with just lots of bling and shiny stuff. So it was really easy to put this together because I really was looking for things like mirrors, and you'll see this actual, instead of using a table runner, I just picked up a couple of long mirrors, cheap mirrors, and of course that's dollar store probably, or a thrift store, or Walmart, who knows. But just, you know, this is a fun piece that you can reuse over and over on a lot of your tablescapes, this mirror. And if you just get the long skinny ones, and hopefully, you know, they don't get broken in storage, you can keep reusing these. So mirrors are a great way to start with your centerpiece. And then on top of that mirror, you're just going to keep adding layers, which is kind of the idea when you're putting tables together. There's 3 jars, glass jars here, that I constantly reuse over and over, and if you ever find any kind of jars that similar to this and different heights, you can reuse them, you know, for any theme or any party that you have. All you have to do is just interchange what's inside of them. So, you know, for an example, on these particular jars, all I did was put in some tinfoil garland and some fake candles. And of course, always have those fake candles on hand because I reuse those over and over. And then here's another example of putting these fake candles inside of a stand. You know, and you'd absolutely want to have the fake candles when you're using paper products or paper lanterns. You know, and then in the evening, when you have this table set up and the lights are dim, you'll have all your candlelight put together and put on, and that changes everything with your theme as well. So it's real pretty at night because you just have candles everywhere. You have mirror balls like this. I'm pretty sure I got that at Walmart. They make these in all kinds of sizes. They're actually designed, you know, to hang from a ceiling, so you could add more from your ceiling if you had to. But I chose to use it as a centerpiece. So these mirror balls are fun, or disco balls, I think is what they used to call them. The paper lanterns, just another example, probably dollar store. You can hang those up on the ceiling as well as set these on your centerpiece as well. So lots of fun, you know, ideas that may have been designed for something else, but, you know, you can put them into your own theme and change what their original uses were for anyway. And then another fun centerpiece idea is just getting your bottles. It can be, this is a wine bottle, but you can do a wine bottle, you can do a champagne bottle. You know, this is something you might want to spray paint in the summertime, you know, unless you have a heated shop. To spray paint, or a painting room in the winter, and then just spray paint it and decorate those bottles with anything you got. So I had some tulle, I had some beads, I had ribbons, you know, any curling ribbon, anything you can find to just kind of spruce those bottles up. And then these bottles you can use as a stand for your cards, your cards. And these cards that I put on these bamboo sticks are all done with a chalkboard paper. So that way you can change the years or change the numbers as you need to. And then that's just, these bottles just turn into a fun way to create a stand for your New Year's Eve year. And then we're reusing some more of that silver garland or the gold garland anywhere you can. Throw in, you know, anything to do with watches or timepieces. If you ever find any of these old stopwatches, you know, thrift stores, wherever. Just grab them. You know, they're kind of a fun theme to add to the New Year's Eve, you know, pieces that you're putting together. Clocks, stopwatches. So all we did is go back to some gold placemats. You know, pretty sure I got those at the dollar store. And then just layering and layering again. So we went to a silver charger. And then here's a fun craft, and certainly have your kids help you with this one if you can. It was just a bunch of scrapbook paper that I used with all kinds of different patterns, and pretty sure that was something you'll get at, you know, like a Hobby Lobby or Joann's Fabric, something like that. You can find these scrapbook papers. Anyway, and then just went and printed out some clocks off the internet, some whatever style I wanted. Put those together, put in some little fake clock hands, and then, you know, if you have a laminator or you have something where you can kind of cover this just to protect it from maybe getting wet or or anything that falls onto the plate, that's a great idea too. You can always do that, but I did make it so that people can actually change the time, or the kids can do that as the clock starts ticking. So it was kind of fun to put in some fake hands on that. And then you just have some little sticky rhinestones or whatever else you want to put on there. And then one of my favorite things that I always keep on hand is a glass plate. And these glass plates are great because you can put anything you want underneath it. So there's the idea. Just make sure it stays within your size there so they don't get destroyed and you can reuse them. Glass plates are a key item to have for your tablescapes because you can always create fun things underneath them. And then I just took some napkin rings that I had and some old, I think it was wrapping paper, some foil paper, and decided to just throw some pens in there for, you know, whoever decides they're going to actually write down their resolutions for the year. And then again, there we just have more chalkboard paper. And then just tucked into this napkin ring. These napkin rings, I use these a lot as well. And just for the same reason, because they are interchangeable. You can actually use them for napkins, or you can use them for something more like a place card. And then you also have, you know, I have a cloth napkin and I have a paper napkin. And of course, white napkins are key because you really never know what your colors are going to be, and white's just a good color to have. But if white's just too plain for you, go get the paper napkins that you like and just wrap it over that just to give it a little more bling. And then, of course, you know, just a whole bunch of old watches that I had laying around, and you're going to use those for napkin rings. So there we go again, back to the time theme, and lots of fun things that you can do with watches and stopwatches and anything you might have. Or, you know, again, if you don't have those on hand, go to a thrift store. They always have old watches laying around. And then we added just a nice fun little silverware holder, and I tried to make this look like a firecracker. So what I did was just take some old tinsel that was left over from Christmas and put that on a straw, you know, and there's your hot glue again. And then just took some this might not have been a toilet paper roll. It could have just been like a tube. A wrapping paper tube. That's what it was. Anyways, and just found some gold wrapping, or silver wrapping paper, put a little black strip around that with a cute little hole punch that I had, and then tried to turn that into a firecracker, kind of a utensil holder. So there's another easy way to put your knives and forks together for your guests. And then if you're looking for a place card idea, we have just great old Happy New Year hats. And there's those straws again, and a little chalkboard paper, which I use constantly, and just some sticky rhinestones. So we're going to turn our hats into place cards, and then if they choose to keep their tag there on the top of the hat, they can wear their hat with the place card on there. So a little bit of a multi-purpose deal there. So that's kind of a fun way to do a place card, is using, you know, paper hats for names. And then, you know, just whatever else you can find. I found these, you know, sparkly coasters at the thrift store. Happened to have these gold-rimmed glasses, so that worked out good. You know, whatever else you can find. Found some fun kind of strips of fabric, the sequin fabric I found at, again, probably a thrift store, and just something to add to the table. So you got sequins, you got tinsel, you got, anything you can think of that's going to kind of light up at night when you have your candles going and all your other fun stuff. So that's just kind of an easy way to set up a table. Threw in some other placemats that I had laying around. Some fake ice cubes. These are not real. But I did have some fake ice cubes for some reason. And then, if you ever find like those little mini champagne bottles you want to put into your table, those are kind of fun too. And then last but not least, I did make some chair covers that seem to work out really good with my winter theme and also my New Year's Eve theme. So I planned on using these really just for the winter, but the faux fur is always kind of a fun material to use in the winter. So basically I just took a black cotton fabric, or you could even use a black pillowcase if you didn't have any fabric, and then just sewed some fake fur on the bottom as for some trim. And then just happen to have a whole bunch of little extra necklaces and just back to more gold and silver and the whites to throw into your theme. Okay, so here's another fun example of using whatever you have left over from your faux fur. These are just the scraps that I had after I made those chair covers. And I'm pretty sure I glued them, or I might have just even pinned them onto a styrofoam wreath. Pretty easy. Threw in, I think, some old Christmas ornaments that fell apart. So if you ever have any of those that you don't know what to do with, hang on to them. You can put them on a wreath. And just some ribbon, and created a fun little winter wreath. So there's one idea for a winter wreath for you. And then here's the New Year's Eve wreath. So whenever you find those party favors or little doodads they give out, or leave out for New Year's, put them on a wreath. These are just a bunch of little party hats. I took the strings off, glued them all on there, or I might have even stapled them on there. Put them on another wreath, took off some of those Happy New Year pieces off some other hats, put those on, found a nice small disco ball. They make them all different sizes. Threw that in there, and then all these pieces, all these stars were already attached to the hats anyway. These were Christmas ornaments that I found during Christmas time that I kept just for this kind of a project. And then put that all together. So save all those little odds and ends you get from New Year's Eve parties. And you can turn that into a wreath too. So there's another idea for a wreath with the same color theme. And then I always love making some kind of a banner. One little trick that I use every once in a while for the actual string of my fabric banners is to actually use a light strand. So you probably can't see that too well because it's light out. But at night, this is absolutely beautiful. So if you ever find those light strands, of course, this was probably at a thrift store. But if you can find them spaced a little farther apart, the lights spaced a little farther apart, it's easy to tie your fabric on there. So this is a lot of tying and a lot of fabric, so it's a little more time consuming than it looks. But, there it is again, the more the merrier. So you have just gold fabric or silver fabric, you have gold fabric, your blacks and whites, little fabric swatches that you can pick up at Walmart, little bundles, and then just tie them all on there. And then you have a fun fabric banner as well for New Year's Eve. So, and here's just another example of what to do with more of those fun party favors you get, at the dollar store. So I just had a ton of these hats. I just couldn't get rid of them, so we just used more, put them on a little string of gold garland, took some coasters that I found, glued some ribbon on there, and turned that into another banner. So just don't get rid of that stuff. Keep it. If you don't know what to do with it, you'll come up with something. So there's just, like I said, more things to add to your New Year's Eve fun stuff. And then this is another example of not knowing what to do with something. This was actually a runner that I picked up that I thought I was going to use on my tablescape. And then I decided not to use it because I didn't work out, so I turned it into a pillow. Another example of this is placemats. If you ever find fabric placemats that you really like, and you just have too many or you don't need them for that, turn those into pillows. So again, this was just a runner, a fabric table runner, and I turned that into a pillow. And if you ever find, you can't find fabric that you like for a certain project that you have, then look at fabric in other areas like tablecloths, linens, runners, anything else that's some kind of a fabric that might be getting used for something else, you can turn into a pillow or whatever you want. So there's another idea for you. Okay, so hopefully you got some great ideas for your New Year's Eve tablescapes and crafts and some other fun little things. And then also look for some of my other videos where we're going to be doing some New Year's Eve cocktails and some New Year's Eve drinks for kids and a fun champagne fondue for New Year's Eve as well. So if you have any questions, come and see me on my website, Susie Homesteader of the Rockies. And have a Happy New Year. See you there. Bye-bye. So, let's get started. Subscribe to the Susie Homesteader channel, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.